Shopify is a platform built for growth, whether you're just starting out or already running a thriving business. From managing inventory to creating a seamless checkout experience, Shopify is designed to handle it all. And it doesn't stop there. Shopify helps you sell everywhere your customers are, online or in person. It's the ultimate tool for turning big dreams into big wins. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/OPP.
Hey, fans of freedom and open discussion, I'm heading over to Substack, and there's an ad-free audio and video version of the Adam Carolla Show that's going to be waiting there. In the near future, you'll even be able to watch ACS Live, unedited, as we record it, participate in the show via live chat. That'll be coming up very soon. You'll also get an ad-free version of the Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew Show. You'll also get an exclusive to my new podcast, Beat It Out, where I share unpolished ideas with my comedian buddies. The first series of episodes is going to be Jay Moore. You'll get all this and more for the low, low price of $9 a month, a pittance for all we're going to bring you. Subscribe now at adamcarolla.com/Substack, and I'll see all of you in our new speakeasy called Substack.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Brett.
And this is the Prosecutor's Legal Briefs. Welcome back to the Prosecutor's Legal Briefs. I'm your host, Alice, and I'm joined, as always, by my coniferous co-host, Brett.
You're right. It didn't make any sense, but
no
it's fine.
sense.
That's fine.
I didn't want to say
We're all a
con
little
man.
loopy.
Con man of a co-host, because you could be.
Is this
I
because
did
there
not call
are
you
lots of pine
deciduous.
trees in Denver?
Yeah, I didn't
Is
call
that
you a
what you're going for?
deciduous tree. Deciduous co-host.
Or high. I could have been a high co-host.
So, guys, I know we're making no sense, and part of it is we are so tired, in a good way, though. One of those, like, fantastic feelings when you have flown across the country to a literally high-altitude place, Denver, that zaps all of your brain energy because your brain's not used to the altitude, talked to what felt like thousands of you. I think it was thousands of you. Got to speak on the main stage, got to get thrown into a TV filming with zero idea what was happening, and just getting to hang out with you guys at CrimeCon this year. And we both just got back and have not really slept since then, but it's worth it. So if today we make no sense, perhaps it's because we left all our brain cells at CrimeCon.
Which is what usually happens. This is my 4th CrimeCon. I guess this is your 5th CrimeCon.
Yes. We can actually mark CrimeCons with your son's
That's
birthdays.
true.
You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
it's kind
right.
of, that's literally when it was.
And no offense to the good people of Nashville, but I liked Denver a lot better, number one, than I thought I would, and better than Nashville. I mean, Orlando was great. Nashville was just weird. Like, the whole hotel layout was strange.
I got
It was
super lost
crowded.
in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like actually, I would walk out a door and be like, I have no idea where I am anymore. Like, am I
you
in the
just
same
walked.
town?
and walked. I mean, you got a lot of steps in. But the great thing about the Denver location is it had this massive central space that was very open, and that was really nice. And it also had these great outdoor spaces that you could hang out with people. So it was fun because, you know, the thing about CrimeCon that I enjoy the most is actually getting to meet people and talk to people. And so it was a lot of fun to see you guys. But yeah, I mean, Alice is right. We had just, like, Friday, we didn't see any of you because it was such a packed day. I mean, basically, CrimeCon starts at noon. We went to our table for like a hot minute, and then we had to go because
We were
had
late.
We were late.
They
yeah.
literally had us we were supposed to be at our meeting space at 12:30, and CrimeCon started at 12. We were late because we wanted to see y'all.
They didn't want to leave people to stand there, but eventually we had to. We just had to be like, hey, come back. And then we got to go do our show on the main stage, like Alice was saying. And then we did a meet and greet. And then we did another meet and greet. Oh, then we had to sign like 5,000 programs. And then we did the Vinnie Politano show, and we're going to talk about all this stuff today.
But really quick, my takeaway, I am curious to hear what your takeaway is, other than the amazingness of getting to meet you guys, hug so many of you, take pictures with you. That's all the great stuff. The takeaway for me now that I've done 5 CrimeCons is I do not eat at CrimeCon. Like, at all. There is no time for bathroom breaks. Like, this is not an exaggeration. Brett got me a breakfast sandwich before CrimeCon started on Friday, and I'm glad I had the foresight to ask you to get me a breakfast sandwich as I was coming downstairs. I ate that breakfast sandwich, didn't eat again until 9, 10 p.m. I don't even know what time. Like, truly no break. And then the next day, I didn't eat all day. I had a couple nuts, like, stored away in my pocket like a squirrel, and I had some cashews, and that was it all day.
There's just no time to eat. I mean, there really isn't, because, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, anytime you're eating, you're not doing all the other stuff you want to do. So, and particularly because I felt like we had to be at the table all day Saturday because we weren't there on Friday. And there's always somebody who says they went to CrimeCon just to see us, and they never saw us. And I never understand how that happens, because we are,
I feel like we're there the
around.
whole time.
I know.
I was gone for like 10 minutes. I had to go to the bathroom. And then Brett's like blowing up my phone, like, where are you? People are waiting for you. I'm like, I'm in the bathroom.
I mean, yeah, it was just crazy. I just didn't use the bathroom. I just had a little
You really
bottle
didn't.
under the table. And that was it. I kicked it over one time. It was rough for everybody.
Gross.
Anyway. So anyways, yeah, but so we want to talk about what we did. We also want to talk about sort of an adjacent legal issue that I think you guys will be interested in, because we ended up talking about the Donna Adelson case on Vinnie Politano, and we talked about Wendi Adelson and her testifying. And there's this whole issue of like immunity and how does it work. So we're going to talk about that. So there is going to be some real substance to this episode. But first, we just want to talk about CrimeCon for a little while. And we do want to talk about our panel. And unfortunately, I know a lot of you were excited to meet Leo, but he was not able to attend. He actually had to have emergency surgery. I texted Gilbert today to find out how he's doing. I don't know if he ever responded, but I wanted to play for you guys the video because we had this whole plan of how this was going to go. Leo was going to be there. We were sort of building the whole thing around him. And then at the last minute, we had to do what we did. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, but Leo was able to provide a video, and so I wanted to play it for you guys. So if you weren't there, you have an opportunity to hear what he had to say. If you're watching us live, if you're a patron, yes, he is in his hospital bed when he does this, so I'm going to go ahead and play that now.
Hi everybody, it's Leo here. I just wanted to make a short video to say thank you to Brett and Alice for the Prosecutor's Podcast and the series they did on my case. And to let you all know that I'm thinking about you and really wishing that I could be there this week. It was one of the most deepest disappointments that I've had this year. I was so looking forward to being at CrimeCon, and I know you guys are going to have a really good time. I want to say thank you once again to Brett and Alice, because what Gilbert King did for me in the Bone Valley world was change the narrative of my story. But what Brett and Alice were able to do was validate my innocence claim. And so that means a whole lot to me. And believe me, as soon as I can, I'm going to make a CrimeCon event. And in the meantime, y'all have fun. And thank you so much. We love you guys.
And so that was nice. And we were able to play that for everybody. And we made a video for Leo. And I hope he's doing better. He was very excited to go. He had some other plans around it. So, you know, as we said, sometimes the hits just keep coming. And he's had a lot of hits. And hopefully this is the last one. So as you all know, he's a very religious guy. If you're a religious person, maybe say a prayer for Leo. If you're not, send him some good energy because he needs it.
Absolutely. But we still got to share the stage with Gilbert King. We said this at the panel, but also season 2 of Bone Valley is out. Obviously, season 1 is about Leo Schofield. Season 2 begins to delve into the man who has now confessed to killing Leo Schofield's wife, and Leo is obviously convicted of murdering his own wife. So season 2 is about Jeremy Scott. I recently listened to it. It's fantastic. Gilbert King is just a really incredible journalist. He has this integrity where you can tell he doesn't know where the story's going to go. He just starts recording, and what he is able to put together, because I think he draws out the most vulnerable parts of the people he speaks with, he is able to get information from them that no one else has. Quite literally. We said this in the panel. If not for Gilbert King's interview that he recorded with Jeremy Scott, a little piece of evidence that Jeremy Scott didn't even know was important for purposes of solving the case to corroborate his confession to murdering Michelle Somme came out because he was speaking to Gilbert King. That information had never come out in any sort of investigative report because no one knew to look for it. So he is really gifted. Go listen to Bone Valley. But it was such an honor to get to share the stage with him too. Really, he could have just taken this story for himself, right?
He really could have.
He really, I mean, there was no
didn't need
reason
us.
for us to be there, right? But he welcomed us into Leo's story and shared the stage with us. And I think the conversation we were able to have was really great because not everyone in the audience necessarily had heard of Leo's case. We ended up meeting a lot of people after the panel who came up and were like, this is the most wild story I've ever heard. There's a lot of actual innocence claims out there. There's a lot of people who claim that someone is wrongfully convicted. Almost never do you then have evidence and a confession by the person who actually did do the murder. Usually it's just waving hands like, oh, the state's corrupt. They've got the wrong guy. But then to be able to point to the person who did in fact commit the murder is 1 in a million. And so if you don't know the story, please go listen to it. But I will just say it was such an honor to get to share the stage with Gilbert.
I'll say this, a little behind the scenes weirdness. I thought it was weird. I don't know how you felt about it. So there could have been, there could have been 5 of you in the audience. There could have been 10,000 of you. It was really weird because the way the lights were set up, you went on the stage, you couldn't see a thing. Like, I literally could not see. Like, at one point, at the end, we had questions, and they had, like, a spotlight on the person asking a question. And I thought there were just 2 people who wanted to ask questions, but there was actually a line behind them. No idea how long that line was. It was so disconcerting to be talking. Essentially, it was like speaking into the void because I couldn't see anything in that room. So I have no idea. I guess they do that in case nobody shows up for your show. So you're like, well, whatever, but it was really kind of crazy.
Brett, for anyone who's been on the stage, they do that all the time. Just so
it was weird. It was totally weird.
You're right, though. When stage lights are on you can't see the audience, which actually works in your favor.
Not all of us are a star, Alice.
I don't speak on stage. But apparently it was broadcast on Fox Nation because I had multiple friends who were not at CrimeCon, like, take pictures of their TV screen. They're like, are you not at home? Is this you on TV? And I was like, yeah, that's me. So continues our whole not telling our friends and family what we do for fun.
So if you're listening, buy Gilbert's new book on Bone Valley. He's got a new book coming out. And if you haven't read it yet, he also wrote Devil in the Grove, which won a Pulitzer Prize. So check that out as well. Alice is right. He is just he's such a nice guy too. Like, he hung out with us afterwards, told us all these stories. He really should write a autobiography.
Oh yeah, can we? Sorry,
fascinating.
Gilbert, if we're telling life stories of yours that you don't want people to know. You think he has an interesting life now with his like award-winning podcasts? Remember, he's a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. Continues to write incredible books. You should go pre-order his Bone Valley book and his many other books. Devil in the Grove is fantastic. He's helped exonerate other people who've been wrongfully convicted. But then he like just drops casually as we're running to our meet and greet. He's like, oh yeah, I used to photograph presidents. And we were like,
he was
what?
the White
He's
House
like, yeah, I was a photographer. I was, I went on all these campaigns and here's a picture of me and Obama. And I was like, you were just going to drop that little piece of information? He's like, is that interesting? I'm like, yeah, it's super interesting, man.
Yeah, it was, he's an interesting guy, and I'm glad we got to meet him. And I'm glad we got to Leo's story because, we do plenty of stories where people are guilty, and it's nice. I'll say this. I understand the attraction of innocence cases because it feels really good. It feels much better to think someone's innocent to me than to think they're guilty. I don't know why that is, but it just, I don't know, the endorphins or whatever. So it's nice to have one where there's actually evidence. And like Alice said, you just don't get the serial killer's fingerprints in the car very often. And it's not just that, as we talked about on the stage. And I know we did 10 episodes on this, so sorry to repeat this, but you've got a case where literally the evidence against Leo is all eyewitness stuff. It's all that direct evidence everybody likes so much. But all of the hard evidence, the circumstantial evidence, is just completely against Jeremy Scott. And none of it points to Leo. And then you start looking into these eyewitnesses and realizing their problems. And I don't know. I just think it's a really fascinating story, not only because of the innocence aspect, but also because I think it is really a good example of how false convictions happen. Because I actually don't think false convictions are obvious. I feel like so many people, they do these innocence podcasts and they want to approach it from the perspective of, it's so obvious this person is innocent. There's no evidence against them. How were they ever charged? How could a jury ever convict them? I actually think it's hard. I think in reality, if you really dig into it, you see why someone is innocent. But it takes some work. I think like the surface level, even on Leo's case, it's very easy to give a surface level take on the case and say he's guilty because you do have you have the eyewitnesses and you have the allegations of abuse and you have like he's a bad, mean, violent guy, right? And it just feels, and frankly, you see that in some of the criticism we get in Leo's case. I mean, the people who think he's guilty tend to be very surface level with the way they look at the case. And so I would just say that should be sort of a prescription when you're looking at these innocence cases. How deep do you have to dig to get there? Because if someone tells you there's no evidence, there's no reason to believe it, that's just usually not true.
No, I think that's exactly right.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called AutoQuote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy saving when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Basketball game? Crushed it. And the day's just getting started. Now, kicking it with my crew. When I need a quick snack, Go-Go Squeeze Active Fruit Blend with electrolytes pouches are always in the starting lineup. Made with real fruit and select electrolytes. And so tasty. From workouts to hangouts to whatever's next, I go with Go-Go Squeeze Active. Snag yours on your next store run. Available on Amazon.
So that was our first time on the main stage, 5 years in, and it was the first time. I mean, I actually have no concept. It was a big ballroom. I have no concept of how many people watched it. Like you said, it could have been one person. Could have been 10. I think it was a little bit more than that. But afterwards, what they do is there's all these like back, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a warehouse in the back, right? Like it's where they bus all the coffee and the food and people are running back and forth to make sure that all the tables are set. And so it's the crew in the back, but all these ballrooms are connected by the back channels. And so you have someone who takes you through these back channels, thank goodness, because I have no idea where we would be going. And you get led to like another ballroom where I feel bad because I think in order to make it on time, people actually have to leave your panel early. And I did see a bunch of people, a mass exodus when we started Q&A. And I thought, oh man, we were so bad that they all left. But I now realize it's because they had to run across the convention center to get to the meet and greet line, and people waited for like a whole hour to be able to meet Gilbert. It wasn't us. They ended up meeting us too, but they really wanted to meet Gilbert. And we kind of talked to them for just a little bit. They keep rushing you along. They don't really let you talk much.
It won't surprise you that about halfway through, they were like, y'all need to talk less.
They really did. They're like, y'all need to stop chatting so much. Like, we're sorry.
It's a meet and greet.
It's a meet
and greet. If it was a photo
just
op, you should have called it a
meet,
photo op.
Apparently, no greeting.
Yeah, no greet.
But that was really fun. I'd never seen that before. And like, so they scan a little QR code and they just take pictures of you and they go.
And I'll say this. I appreciate those of you out there listening who were like, oh no, we want to take pictures with you too, not Gilbert. But honestly, I appreciate even more the people who are like, we're just here for Gilbert. Can we take a picture with him? It's like, yeah,
like, I don't
absolutely.
know who you
Go
two
ahead.
weirdos are. Can you step out?
Yeah, like, yeah, we're out. We'll hang over here. But that was fun. And we ran into Nick McClelland. Actually, right after our session, he was in the green room. And
I wish we could have watched it, but we had to go to our meet and greet, which was really
super nice guy. Another guy is super nice. Really interesting guy, really nice guy. I'm glad he was able to go sort of get his props. The Delphi family won the Crime Fighters of the Year on behalf. I really liked the way they did it because I think really Abby and Libby won and they were like accepting on their behalf. And I really liked that because, as we've said, they really did solve their own murder. And the family was all there, just came by the table, talked to us for a while. So nice, so gracious,
I was
wonderful.
so appreciative that they, I mean, you guys, this is still so incredibly raw. We've said this before for victims. While a lot of people go to CrimeCon because it's entertaining, it's exciting to get to meet the people, the creators who make the podcasts and the movies and the documentaries and the books that you read or watch. For the families of victims, they are there to advocate for their loved ones and to also help out the loved ones of other victims. They're there for a very different purpose. And so for them to make time to come and say hi to us, and they were like, we can't listen to your podcast. I would never be able to listen to a podcast of my own child's murder, no matter who did it. So I completely understand that. But for them to take the time to come say hi, I mean, this is all still so fresh. The conviction is so fresh. It's obviously still in the media a lot. There are still people who say that the convicted is not really the person, but that, you know, we have no doubt that the right person is serving time for Abby and Libby's murders. But that's just a very interesting aspect of CrimeCon that is different than other types of cons, is you have all these people that, I mean, an amazing young lady who was at the meet and greet had like 2 seconds with us because the people who are taking pictures with you quite literally push you through because there's so many people in line. And she just like reached out with this perfectly packaged folder, and it had a victim's name on it, and she said, will you look into this case? And it was very well packaged, and I said, oh, of course. Do you know this person? And she said, yeah, it's my brother. I mean, people are going to CrimeCon to get stories out, to seek someone to take a look when maybe it looks like the judicial system has ground to a halt or that the investigative leads have completely died out. It is an incredible aspect of CrimeCon, and I do think there's a great community that supports that. And we've said this to all of you before as well. If you want us to look into a case, that is the best way to do it. Hand us a folder with all the materials you have. You don't have to have all of it, because if you don't have access, you don't have access. But it gets us so far along the way. And it really struck me as, you know, she was being shepherded along because we had to get to the next picture when she said, yeah, it's my brother. So incredible young lady to do that. And she did it so swiftly too. So those are just some of the experiences we have at CrimeCon.
Yeah, and there were no fewer, I think, than 5 or 6 people who did that. One person had a card, just a card with a QR code on it. And the case files on the QR code. So we got those. We'll be looking at those. Always look at them. I'll say this. The one thing, you know, in the past, and I don't know how this would go because these are on you, but we've definitely looked at cases that we got at CrimeCon in the past. And it's just so unfortunate because there's so little information out there. And that's why I think these folks are at CrimeCon, because their cases haven't been covered. It's hard for people like us who can't really do the investigative work. And it's just funny because there's so much true crime out there, and there's so many different outlets, and yet it's still hard to get this coverage. And if you go to CrimeCon, one of the things that's always sobering is they have this massive billboard in the middle of CrimeCon where people can put up posters and information for cold cases, ongoing cases. And it's just covered with flyers of missing people and flyers about unsolved murders and cold cases. And it is really striking because that is the heavy part of it. And the thing I love about CrimeCon is it encourages that. Like, it's not a celebration of crime. I think a lot of people think everybody's dressed up like Jeffrey Dahmer, and it's not that at all. It's so respectful and it's so nice. And I'll say this, you know, we're not exactly non-controversial. I've never had a rude interaction at CrimeCon. Like, no one, I'm sure there are people at CrimeCon who can't stand us, but everybody just sort of does their thing, and it's really great. I'm just a huge fan.
I totally agree with that. I've never had, and maybe they're doing it behind our backs, which is totally fine. They can do that. And, you know, if it's not drama I know about, that's fine. But people are so cordial. In fact, what really, like, sweet and warms my heart, this is just encouragement for next year. I don't know why, but you guys, we go to CrimeCon to meet you. We are not there to like hang out with each other. We see each other. We live in the same town. We hang out with each other all the time. But I'll hear people as we're walking down the hall. And if you see us walking down the hall, we're usually running because we're running to something that we are late for, like on our schedule. But I'll hear people say, oh, it's Brett and Alice. Oh, let's not bother them. I'm like, bother us. We are there literally. My number one reason to go is to meet you guys. And I said this to many of you who came up to our table and apologized. For what? Like, I'm sorry for taking up your time. We get to record, and it's super fun. And I love getting to see Brett's face. I love to read y'all's chats. But we're on this side of the microphone. We don't know who is listening on the other side until we get to go meet you guys. And all of you, a bunch of you said, I feel like I know you, but you don't know me. Au contraire. When you look at the depth of a relationship, it is how much you know the other person. Who you see on this podcast is exactly who we are. We don't edit out things. We don't try to be cool. I think we all know I'm not cool. But you guys know so much about us because you've heard us speak for thousands of hours at this point that you really do know us. And I would say that does equal friendship. And I tried to convey that because it is not a one-sided thing. We would not be doing this podcast if you guys didn't create such an incredible community for us to have a reason to keep doing this.
Yeah, one person at one point came by and like took a picture of us like from a distance, and I was like, you can come like, and take a picture, and they were like, oh really? And I was like, yeah, get over here. Like, it's so funny. Yeah, and I've said this before, we try and spend as much time with you as possible. It's expensive and it's hard to get there, and I always feel bad that we can't spend more time with you, frankly, but I always want to make it as enjoyable as possible. And I get to hang out with a lot of you guys for a lot of time, so that was a lot of fun. And yeah, come to Vegas. We plan to be there. Obviously, Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. We'll see what happens. But so we did the meet and greet, and then we did another meet and greet. Then so we'd got an email about doing something with Court TV. Had no idea what it was. Had no idea what it was about.
Wait, let's back up a little. No, they did. They did plan it. They put it on our speaker schedule.
Oh, they put it on our schedule?
They were like, would you like to be interviewed about your expertise? I think I went back to the email because I wanted to see how much prep we had. It literally, and I thought it was going to be like, tell us about yourself. How'd you get started as a lawyer?
Exactly.
Like that, right?
And didn't know. I mean, it turned out it was Vinny's show. Vinny was there.
We didn't know that.
Napolitano. We didn't know that. We didn't know where it was. And like, they take us there and they're doing a live filming of the thing. And so we get there like 20 minutes beforehand.
I am in slip-on shoes because I had been in heels earlier in the day and my feet were barking. So I had on like house slippers. You can see it if you go back to the TV screen and see my house slippers.
So we get up there and we're like, hey, we're here. And they're like, oh, thanks for coming. Turns out they're in the middle of the show. They're like getting ready for because he does like hours and hours. And so they start putting the mics on us and everything. And Alice is like, so what's this about? What are we going to be talking about? And they were like,
I'm pretty sure the producer had a conniption at that point.
And it was funny because it wasn't just something, like, talk about CrimeCon, talk about, whatever. It was like, no, we're talking about
the guilty verdict
Donna
from 12
Adelson
hours ago. 12 hours ago.
Which, spoiler alert, we were traveling and weren't really following how all that ended up. And a case out of California, its name has suddenly slipped my mind, about a child who's been murdered by his parents, and his parents have both been arrested, and they still haven't found this baby's body. It's a tragic case. And so that's what they want to talk about. And we're like, okay. So, normally, I mean, there's some cases, sometimes we just get on here and talk. Like if it's something we know a lot about, like we're going to talk about the appellate process, we won't have an outline. But usually if we're going to talk about a case, like we spend a long time like looking into it. So with 10 minutes to go, they have a clock. It's like counting down to when it starts. We're like on our phones, Googling this stuff, trying to read up on it, figure out like exactly what's going on. Because of course it was two cases we haven't really done a lot on, right?
Because they were both like really cutting news, right? Like the baby Emmanuel arrest had happened within 24 hours. And then the Adelson guilty verdict had been within the 24 hours. And those 24 hours, we were both in the air.
Yeah. All I knew about the guilty verdict was it was fast. I knew it happened quickly. I hadn't even seen it until they showed it as we're doing it.
I think that was the art of cramming that you saw on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know how stupid we sounded, but we didn't make up stuff. We really were reacting, but like we had 8 minutes because they were like, can you put your phones away at this point? Like that we were rolling live.
Like, getting ready.
And we were shooting in the middle of the hallway of CrimeCon, and
People
they gave us these earpieces. And I already couldn't hear anything because there had been so loud all day. You were in the expo hall and like people were shouting all day. So my ears were ringing. They put in this earpiece. They duct taped it to the back of my neck.
So you couldn't move your head?
I couldn't turn to look at Brett because like it was taped to the back of my neck, and I was like, hello. And they kept asking questions in the ears. And I was like, I got nothing. I have no idea what you're asking me.
Yeah, and then it's just, y'all might expect that beforehand, the host, Vinny would be like, okay, guys, this is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you this question. No, you have no idea.
It's like the Socratic method at law school.
It's just, it starts. You have no idea who's going to ask. He introduces me with my actual title, and I was like, I'm gonna get fired. But like,
When he said that, I was like,
oh God, why did you do that? But I mean, they don't even ask how you want to be introduced. And so then from that point on, he's like asking me,
He's like,
questions
as a
as if I'm
prosecutor.
answering in my official position. Anyway, but it was fun. I mean, it was wild, and we talked about all that. And then they did
But I will say
audience
this.
questions.
I will say this about Vinny. So we've appeared on his show several times at this point. It's always been remote. Like, we've done it from home. So we have never been in the same room as him. Guys, the man is talented, okay? Like, give credit where it's due, because when the cameras weren't rolling, he was funny. He was interacting with the crowd. He had basically no notes with him. As much as we were winging it, he was definitely winging it too, but he had the facts down. So the notes he had were basically how to pronounce our names, and that was it. So I will say, like, it was really impressive to see him in person. And also, TV looks highly stressful, because I think he does like 5 or 6 hours of shows like that a day with that much prep.
I mean, he said, like, I don't worry about it, because unless I say something really stupid, they're not going to fire me. It's like, well, okay, but this seems pretty stressful to me. And then they did audience questions. Couldn't hear any of it. Like, we had these earpieces.
That was stressful, because the questions were directed at us.
Yeah, couldn't hear any of it. Like, so we're trying to answer those questions. So that was interesting. But I do want to take this opportunity to actually talk about some real law. You want to talk about some real law?
Let's do it.
Alice?
Now that we know these cases.
Now that we know these cases. So I don't know if y'all followed the Adelson saga, the Dan Markle, the professor. Dan Markle case. Professor at Florida State, right? Law school. He was murdered by, an actual hit was put out on him. And it took a long time for the police to nail it all down, but eventually they found the hitmen, they found the person who hired them. It turned out that his brother-in-law, Charlie Adelson, is the one who facilitated it all. And Charlie's mother, Donna, was on trial for sort of being the mastermind of this conspiracy. And the question that's out there is whether the wife, Wendi, was involved, number one. And if she was involved, is she going to face any kind of justice? And what's been interesting about this is they've had multiple trials. Because as I said, there's all sorts of people involved. And yes, we will cover it.
I think
in
this
more
is the
detail
fifth
later.
person convicted.
I think
in
so, yeah,
this
like the Fifth
conspiracy. And I believe they all went to trial. I don't think they pled
Yeah.
guilty.
Well, I think, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Maybe the girlfriend, maybe the ex-girlfriend didn't.
I think she went to trial too. I'd have to go back and look.
I know that Wendi Adelson has testified more than once, so there's been more than one trial.
Yeah. So one thing that's interesting, as Alice said, is Wendi Adelson is testifying. And you might think, well, that's wild because she's a suspect. Why is she doing that? Why doesn't she just take the Fifth? Why doesn't she plead the Fifth Amendment? And the reason is she's getting immunity in each one of these trials. And so wanted to talk a little bit about the way that works. So essentially, there are two types of immunity you can get. There's transactional immunity and there's derivative use immunity. So transactional immunity is like the golden ticket, right? Very rare. But if you get transactional immunity, you are immune from prosecution at all. Like, you can't be prosecuted for that event. So let's say you're like the hitman who was hired by the mob boss. Like, this is the kind of place where transactional immunity happens. And you're willing to flip on the mob boss. You might get transactional immunity, and then you're immune from prosecution for that murder that you committed on the orders of the mob boss, because that's how important your testimony is. That's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with something more interesting and more nuanced, which is derivative use immunity. And basically what that says is, if you testify, nothing you say can be used against you, but also, and more hazy, no evidence derived from your testimony can be used. And this is a way to get around the Fifth Amendment's protections, because it's not a privilege against testifying. It's a privilege against incriminating yourself. And if your statements can't incriminate you because it can't be used, then you can't plead the Fifth.
Then a lot of people, and this kind of came up for like a hot second on Vinny's show, they were like, well, you can't, then that means you can't be, nothing she says, nothing derived from it, nothing she says, information can be used against her. Not exactly, because you're still allowed to investigate. Now, you have to be creative, because here's an example, and I'll see if this gets it right. If you didn't previously know to look at, say, phone records or something, but you independently look at phone records and they can corroborate everything that you say, there's a question as to what is derivative. And investigatively, there are still a lot of tools to be able to investigate and find out similar or same information that is not dependent on the fact that you said it. Then that could be fair game. So even though she was granted this immunity, not transactional immunity, but derivative use, there is still, who knows? Oh, the other thing is, anything that the law enforcement knew before you testified, that's also fair game. Because they knew that independent of you. You didn't incriminate yourself. You didn't give that piece of information. They have that. And that's also a really good way for them to basically see what you're lying about, because maybe they have more than they've let on. They don't have to tell you everything. Look, this is why you need a lawyer to decide whether you need to take this deal or not. She could have decided not to take the deal and not testify at all, right? But she ultimately did. So this is interesting because it does not mean she's off the hook from being indicted. It does get a little tricky because I bet you if and when she gets indicted, that will be one of the first attacks by her defense attorney, is that the indictment is only based on things that had been part of her testimony that is subject to immunity. So that'll be an interesting thing to see as well.
And you see this sometimes, it's sort of a similar issue with suppression, because if something's suppressed, you may know fruit of the poisonous tree. So basically, like, say there's a search and you find something, and what you find leads you to something else. And then the search gets suppressed. And so therefore, you never would have found the other thing. So that gets suppressed as well. Well, there is an exception to that, and that's independent. If you could have discovered it independently. So if you could have gotten to that information without the tainted search, you can still do it. But of course, people argue about that all the time. Like, would you have ever gotten there if it hadn't been for the search? You know, you're trying to say, oh, well, different investigative tactics led us to this. And it's like, oh, well, I don't know. And so you're going to have a similar thing here with her. You know, it is interesting because she could have tried, I don't know how much she litigated it, trying to refuse to testify. I mean, if you're a criminal, you can actually make a few more demands because you're a criminal, whatever. You know, you're already in prison. You're going to go to prison. You don't care about being held in contempt. So maybe you say, look, you're not getting anything out of me without transactional immunity. You want to hold me in contempt? Feel free. I don't care, right? She's in a more difficult place because they're giving her this transactional immunity. What's she going to do? Is she really then going to say, well, I'm still not going to testify? I think she's in a tough place. And so she did testify, and so you're going to have that on down the line. Now, look, people are talking about this in the chat, and I agree. At one point, Vinny asked me how strong the case is against her, and I said a 6. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this case. It is a case I want to cover. But I will say, just in my general knowledge, there's a really good argument that her mother was such a controlling psychopath that she would have done this on her own, using her brother to do it. Now, there are some pieces of evidence that make you think she was very aware of what was going on. And what's going to be interesting...
She's made statements that are not going to play well with the jury. There's a strong story. I agree with you on that. I think the story is stronger than the actual evidence that we know of so far.
Yeah, and so I kind of want to go ahead and cover the first few things, kind of like we did with Barry Morphew. So then we can, if she is tried, go into that. Because I actually think her trial will be interesting. She's going to present herself as a patsy. It was interesting, and Donna Adelson, her attorneys, kind of pointed the finger at Wendi. And were like, look, she didn't know what the kids were doing. She didn't know what the already convicted son, Charlie, was doing and what Wendi was doing, right? So that was interesting. And presumably she will say no. You know, when I asked Dan if he'd be in town the 3 days that the hitmen could kill him, I didn't know they were going to do that. That was just my mom had said, hey, can you find out? Because I want to come see the grandkids. Because it was all about keeping the kids or whatever, you know, whatever. Some sort of excuse, right? So we'll have to see how that goes. But I thought that was interesting, and it was fun to talk about it with Vinny. And then from that point forward, after that, we were sort of on our own, and it was just hanging out with you guys. I was happy to see that Crime Weekly won Creator of the Year Award.
Yes, congratulations.
They are awesome. And, you know, we did beat them out first time they're nominated. Not rubbing it in, but I'm glad they could pull that off. They're great people. I like them a lot. And I always like giving
For those of you keeping
Derek
track,
grief
Brett
about
has still kept the Clue Award from me now. This is the 3rd year that I have not even touched it. And October's coming up. October Heist is still on. I will give you his address. You will break in. Don't do that. You'll probably get shot. But I have still not touched that Clue Award. So maybe next year they'll allow us to be part of the running, shall we say?
Yes.
And maybe I can get one from me.
And I think really the Crime Weekly folks, they should be gracious and tell all their fans to vote for us so that we can get another one for Alice. This is actually a replica. The real one is in a safe in an unknown location. So
I think it's only fair that you bring it to Vegas next year so that we can attempt a heist.
I'll say this, Alice. If you find yourself a closet that has like something behind you where you can put it instead of this nondescript location you're in now, maybe I'd let you borrow it. But I mean, where would you put it?
Shots
where would
fired.
it go?
Shots fired.
You gonna have it on your shoulder or
I
something?
have plenty of space in front of me. Where do you think this sits?
Yeah, but then only you can see it. See, people can see.
See, I don't like to flaunt.
They see
I
Sophie's
just like to
artwork,
know what I have.
and they see the.
And I like to know that you don't have it. That's all that really matters.
Oh, I see. I see.
So the things that we brought to CrimeCon, remember, we don't live near Denver. We had to fly with all these things. Guys, I carried, I don't know how many tens, dozens of pounds of metal keychain bottle openers through TSA to bring to you guys. Thank you for taking them all so we didn't have to bring them home.
And shout out to Mike, who lives close by, who let us mail stuff to him so we didn't have to carry
that wouldn't have
10,000 koozies.
Yes. So many koozies and t-shirts. We got our act together for the first time to feature some Hannah Hill art. It's that picture behind Brett's shoulder. That is the picture on the koozies, and that is the picture on the shirt. We figured we'd go with a theme of things you can only get at CrimeCon. But I went through security with all these metal bottle openers, and they're not sharp or anything. They don't violate anything, but it's kind of weird to go through with like so many pounds of metal. And so the TSA security guard was like, "What is that?" I was like, "I'm going to this conference and it's swag." And they were like, "Oh, can we have some?" And I was like, "Absolutely." It was at the bottom of my bag. I had to unload my entire bag in the middle of the security line, and I handed out prosecutors' keychains, beer can openers, to every single TSA worker in the airport line. So I'm very happy that we did that. I was not buying them off. They never stopped me. I just offered to, but I came with several dozen fewer keychains. And then once we got there, you guys were so great. You guys were so nice. You were like afraid to take free stuff. I was like, "It's free, take it." But we did have shirts. I'm very excited to wear mine because it's a very soft heather gray.
We sold all the shirts, and if you were there, I mean, by the end, I was basically holding people hostage and only releasing them if they would take more than one koozie. Because I was like, I got to get rid of all the koozies. Because normally, the koozies are gone by Saturday morning. But we weren't there at all on Friday. So, like, we didn't give hardly any away.
And our friends of the podcast, we didn't really care. We kind of put it all out on the table. But friends of the podcast who are in this chat saved us and
They put
all
up.
their stuff away for us.
Which seems like a nice thing to do. But actually, it just meant that I had to... It was nice for the shirts because we actually sold those. But the koozies, it was like, by the end, one person who I believe is in the chat right now, I think I forced her to take like 25 koozies because
You can have
she
25
teaches a
drinks.
class. She's going to give them to all our friends. Well, we got rid of all the koozies by then, so I didn't have to take any koozies back.
We had new colors this year, guys. Every
I
year.
took the koozies to the bar.
Look at you. They were like,
Right.
"Who is this guy?" But thank you. So we didn't have to ship it home. That's a big deal because we have to bring back a lot. Thanks for bringing back our tablecloth thing.
Yeah, you're
But
welcome.
but we need to get some maybe. Okay, the one thing we didn't have this year that we heard everyone repeatedly say, "You guys, we have like 9-10 months to get ready." Everyone wanted pins. I didn't get pins this
I think
year.
I suggested pins to you. I'm just
You
saying.
did, and remember I showed you the price and I was like, we can get pins or we can get something else because the pins were like weirdly expensive and we got something else instead. But I will get pins next time. You were right. You said pins. I just didn't understand the pin thing. But if there's any, okay, yes, Sophie said pins. A lot of you guys said pins. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was just a little surprised how expensive they were, and I
They are
thought people
expensive.
wanted
That is
koozies
true.
instead. Koozies are more expensive, but I mean, they're all free that we give them away. So I decided to spend more money on the koozies.
Now I'll say
instead
this:
of
one
pins.
problem we're running into is CrimeCon is kind of like a reunion. We love seeing all you guys every year. Some of y'all who hadn't gone need to go because people are like, "I already have 6 koozies," and I'm like, "Well, you need another one because they've been to every
They are
CrimeCon."
different colors each year, though. I
They
will
are
say that
different
this
colors.
year we had electric green and hot pink.
Yeah. So we did give away all our keychains. We gave away all our ink pens that we write with, not pens that you stick yourself with. So we gave away a ton of stuff. I mean, there should be prosecutor stuff all over the country now. I would like to think.
There really should be. There really should be. So
I tried to leave the stickers somewhere, and of course, some good Samaritan found them and returned them. It's like
That's really funny.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of stickers, though. I still have a ton that I didn't even bring because they were too heavy. So I still have stickers. I still have some pens, and I still have some
bottle openers.
Yeah, because those are really heavy. So I still have those. But next year, I did like the shirt thing. So maybe we'll do like a new shirt each year.
I like shirt thing too.
Yeah.
Well, what we could do, look, it was really cool seeing all you guys in the CrimeCon 2025 shirts that Sophie put together. That was awesome. Really like that. So thank you guys who bought that.
Yes.
Now, one thing we could do is we could make those the shirts we sell at CrimeCon.
That probably would make more sense.
It's nice to already have it because then you can wear it.
I did like seeing people on that first day all wearing it. Whatever, we can have multiple shirts. It'll be fun that way. It was really fun to see so many people in the CrimeCon 2025 prosecutor shirts because we're like, hey.
Yeah.
And then that was a surefire way to make sure that we stopped and took a picture with you because I wasn't going to walk past you if you were wearing a shirt.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I knew you were a friend.
Exactly. And okay, can we talk about this? You guys bring tears to my eyes. No presents are ever expected or required or anything. But the number of you who get yourself on an airplane and have the foresight to have planned some sort of present for us is mind-blowing, especially presents that take some planning because they're monogrammed or carved with our name. Oh my goodness, you guys are so thoughtful. Janelle, I'm sorry if I've got mistaken who got it, but I'm pretty sure it was Janelle who made me a shirt because of what do you call it when it's a verbal typo? My verbal typo of calling it 8:30 o'clock. I now have an 8:30 o'clock shirt. I wore it all day at home.
Malapropism? Is that what it is?
Probably. I like verbal typo better.
Verbal typo is great.
It's pretty good. It's pretty descriptive. And I wore it in my hometown, and everyone who saw me was like, I don't get it. Is that a band? But I laughed really hard. You guys gave us just the hugs are enough, but all these presents, a Casper, Wyoming piece of artwork, bears, ornaments, all these things. It was just incredible. I always leave CrimeCon with heavier bags than coming. And I come with all these giveaways, so I actually am transacting what I'm bringing in my luggage.
Shout out to Mrs. Brett who had to figure out how to package 5 different bottles of bourbon.
Vermont syrup, maple syrup. Oh my goodness, maple you syrup. Guys. Homemade maple syrup.
Yep. Yeah. So I did not drink any bourbon tonight because frankly, kind of tired.
You drank a lot there. Idea. You drank a lot. So, I got it right. It is Janelle. Thank you, Janelle. I see you in the chat and I loved the shirt and I'm going to wear it every day.
They came by before she wasn't there and said she had the shirt and I was like, she's going to love that shirt. And they brought the shirt. And Alice had a public meltdown. Mind. She did.
I think everyone thought a crime had been committed because I yelled so loudly. Look, I am who I am. I express excitement. It is who I am.
I will say this. If you bring a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle to Las Vegas, I will spend an hour with you alone. We will go.
That sounds
we'll
really
take
weird.
the Pappy
that sounds
to
really
a room.
Weird.
We'll talk about any true crime case you want. I'll give you all my,
as your lawyer, stop
my
talking.
secret opinions on any case you want to hear about. That is the diamond version if you do that. So I'm just throwing that out there. We'll play craps together. We'll just go. We'll just leave CrimeCon.
Really
It'll just be me and you for the rest of that time.
You made it sound really creepy.
Yeah.
All to say is I'm missing things about CrimeCon, but there's so many facets of CrimeCon that are so just, I don't know, restore my faith in humanity when all we do is cover the deepest, darkest, most horrible points of humanity. That getting to go to CrimeCon it's like a warm hug all weekend.
And I do want to say thank you to the organizers of CrimeCon who were so great. My wife was there with my kids and they spent a lot of time at the pool, obviously, but they had the canine presentation where they ran the dogs around, did all this other stuff. And they don't let children under 18 into CrimeCon. And they're pretty hardcore about it. And I emailed, I was like, hey, can my kids go see the dogs? And they let them do it. And they set it all up so they could go and nobody would stop them. And they had a great time. My daughter asked to see the handcuffs. She got to see the handcuffs. And a lot of you sent me pictures that you took of them there, which I really appreciated. But that was great. And to be as busy as they are, for them to take the time to make that happen, I was impressed with.
They had like a dog adoption center in the middle of the expo hall.
Yeah.
I only saw it after the fact, and I was like, what a brilliant idea. A bunch of people here who like care a lot. And then you have all these dogs to be adopted. Too bad a lot of them probably were not local and couldn't bring a dog with them. But I thought that was a great idea. And I agree. The people who plan CrimeCon, I think I was very high maintenance this year, and I apologize. I did not mean to be. But I was in 3 time zones within like a span of 18 hours. And my flight schedule was a holy mess. And they were so nice about it. Helped me, navigate all the different flights and made sure I could make it to CrimeCon on time, which I did. And I was there, but they could have easily been like, figure out your own way, lady. I don't even know where in the world you are right now. So I'm really appreciative. And they like know our names, and I don't know, they remember us from year to year, which is really kind of them.
Yeah, it is funny because there's a few people who are always there. They have tons of volunteers locally. They hire people who do events locally, but they have a core staff that are always there, and it's always fun to see them. So yeah, we had a great time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed our presentation. I was worried people would be disappointed Leo was there, so I hope you weren't disappointed. I mean, I was disappointed he wasn't there, but I hope you enjoyed it. And look, CrimeCon's going to be May 29th through 31st.
Yep.
In Vegas. Caesar's Palace is the host hotel. If you've never been to Las Vegas, little secret, it doesn't matter where you stay. But like basically all of those hotels around Caesar's Palace are, number one, really close. A lot of them are actually connected. So it was in Paris a few years ago. I didn't stay in Paris. I don't remember where I stayed. It was
minutes
just
away.
Walk down the hall. Yeah, and there it is. So a lot of options if you can't afford the Caesar's Palace option.
And I'll put this out there. I've already started inviting girlfriends for a girls' weekend. Guys can come too, but no one's said yes yet. Last time it was in Vegas, my girlfriends and I think several of you also, went to Lady Gaga. She was there at the time. So let's find out who's playing.
She invited me to go.
Well, I'm saying, guys,
and then
let's
something
plan.
happened.
Let's plan. Stop it. You were not
That's
invited
okay.
to my girls' outing to Lady Gaga.
I was invited last time.
Guys, I'm trying to extend an invite, Brett.
Not to me.
I'm putting it out there. As it gets closer, guys, figure out who's in residence in Vegas, and maybe we can get a little prosecutors outing to all go to some Vegas show together. I will be there because I'm going to say something else.
I can't hang out with somebody and drink Pappies, but you can take them to Lady Gaga, to a romantic
Mine is in a
evening
public
at Lady
arena
Gaga.
where there cannot be allegations of misconduct. Yours
whatever.
is way shadier. But what I'm saying is this is also going to be a celebration for a milestone birthday for me. So maybe we all go celebrate. I'm not turning 50, so you do the math. That
Big
we can
3-0
all go
for
to
Alice.
Vegas. There.
And prosecutors. Code prosecutors for 10% off. I don't know when that starts,
I don't
but
know.
just go ahead and put it in there and see if it works. So,
Wow.
there you go.
With that, it was so good to see so many of you, to put names to faces. And I am not pulling your leg. When you guys come up to me, I really do remember faces, especially if we've met year after year. I may not remember your name at that moment, but I definitely remember faces. And it's so fun to get to see, now I call you friends, year after year. So I hope we get to see you again very soon. And maybe we'll get our act together and actually go tour some cities this year. 2026 is our year.
There you go. That's our year. And also, shout out to all you guys out there who go to CrimeCon with your lady friends and aren't really interested in it. I mean, shout out to you who like true crime too, but you're just normal. Thank you to all of you great partners who go, because I'll always ask, are you into this too? And they're like, no.
Not even a little.
Not even a little bit. I'll take the picture. And it's like, okay.
And I can tell that they have no idea who we are, but they're there, which is so awesome because you know what? Mr. Alice wasn't there.
Yeah. Because he was keeping the kids.
I was
mean,
going
you
to say, fair enough. He did have to entertain 4 kids by himself, which was way harder than what we had to do. With all that said, guys, this was so fun. Those of you who went, I hope you had a good time. If for some reason, I don't know how, but if you were not able to catch us, I'm sorry. Give us a call. We'll get on a FaceTime with you and hang out for a while. But we literally go to meet you guys. So thank you for making it such a fun and memorable weekend. We can't wait to see you in May in Vegas for our 6th CrimeCon. And maybe let's all go see a show together. Maybe Taylor will get married there. We'll all go together.
Or have some pappy in a room
Or
alone.
stop being creepy. Well, guys, this has been awesome. We are so thankful for all of you. Thanks for allowing us to have this avenue to get to go meet you guys. And until next time, I'm Alice.
And I'm Brett.
And this is the Prosecutor's Legal Briefs.
I only care about the show. I mean,
This has to do with the show, man.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't meaning to be cryptic. Brett was supposed
she
to know
totally
what
was, though, wasn't she?
Brett's supposed to know what I'm talking about, but he clearly doesn't.
I clearly haven't kept up closely enough. Anyway.
Oh, my goodness. Well, do they know we're flying all
Wasn't
over
the
the country?
only disagreement we had, Pharmasaurus.
We've had a couple now. Literally just a couple, but still.
Yeah, so we got to go to... Where are we going? San Antonio.
We're going to San Antonio.
This September, CBS hits are streaming free on Pluto TV.
I'm coming in hot.
For this month only, you can watch full seasons of the CBS shows you love. From the courtroom drama of Matlock to the heroics of Fire Country. Go back to where it all began in NCIS Origins, or watch the hilarious hauntings of ghosts. All for free. Full seasons of the CBS shows you love. This month only on Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.